Hello again, it's Greg. Welcome back. In part one, I showed you all my non-radio controlled watches that I use, not atomic watches. And now I'm going to show you the ones that are radio controlled for atomic timekeeping, starting with this one. You know, I bought all these other watches in the 80s and early 90s. So then finally in the late 90s, I got this one, Arcron Zeit. And it's a plastic watch and it looks cheap and it feels cheap. And it also looks kind of, the face is really busy there. It's kind of a unattractive watch if you ask me. But at the time, it was the most affordable of the radio-controlled watches on the market. There was a Yunkan's Mega watch that was like, oh man, I think it was $1,000. And all it did was show you the time and the date. This one at least has a few more functions than that. It will show you, let's see, that there it has an alarm. It has what's called a date alarm, so set it to whatever date you want, and then it kind of flashes a little symbol on that day all day long. I don't know. Doesn't seem that useful to me. The next function would be, this is the time zone setting page, and if it has not received its time information from WWVB, you can manually set the time here. It's funny that if it has received the time information from WWVB and successfully set itself, then it won't allow you to set the time. You can only set the time zone, but you can't set the time manually. That's interesting. And then of course a stopwatch. So busy looking, kind of unattractive watch, but it does its job and well, it still works. When I first got it, after a few months, it didn't work right anymore. I sent it back to the company and they recalibrated it. And it's been working flawlessly ever since then, like at least 15 years now. It's been working just fine. So just change the battery every now and then. I remember at the time thinking I was a little frustrated because I was hoping that a more established watchmaker like, say, Casio would start making radio-controlled watches and make them affordable and maybe make them better, you know, quality control issues and whatever. So had to wait a little while, but within, I don't know, a year or two, this one came out from Casio. And so it looks quite a bit different from that Arcron Zeit watch, but interestingly enough, it's exactly the same functions. So if I push this button here, there's my alarm. There's that funny date alarm thing. And here's the page where you can set it, set the time zone. And here's the stopwatch, and there you go. So Casio finally made one, 50-meter water resistant, kind of nice. Eventually, the watch band broke, so I replaced it with something that was kind of close enough. But the original watch band was better integrated with the case of the watch, and this one looks a little bit awkward, but fits really well, and I like this one. So then Casio started making even more varieties of radio-controlled watches, so I was encouraged by that. In the meantime, I got this one from LaCrosse Technology, and this is a funny one because it doesn't do anything except what you're seeing right now. It shows you the day of the week, date, and the time. So all you can do is set the time zone. There used to be a button right here on the side. The button came off, but there's still kind of a little recessed place where you can stick a toothpick or the tip of a pen or something. And if you push this button and hold it down, you can change the time zone. And it's kind of nice. It has more than just the 4 standard continental US time zones. There's Alaska and Hawaii. And then, you know, it's basically, you know, world time availability there. So there's Greenwich time. And then you start getting back, you know, Atlantic, Eastern, Central, and now back to where I am in the Mountain time zone. So you wait a few seconds and that stops flashing, and then that's all you get from this watch. There's no alarm, there's no hourly beep, there's no stopwatch. It just is what it is. No backlight, none of that. So, okay, there you go. It's kind of a funny sort of metal but mostly plastic feeling watch band, but so far so good on the watch band. It just kind of feels like a cheap watch, but it still works. Now, out of all the watches I've shown you so far, there's still a website out there that claims to sell this watch brand new. I think it's overpriced. It's like $80 or something like that. Again, not my favorite watch, but it works. And you can still find some Casio watches that look very similar to these, the Casio Classic Watch Collection. So if you want a 1980s retro look, you can find things like this, but maybe not these exact same models. Meanwhile, here's one you can still get, almost identical to the one I'm showing now. I have a longer review of this watch that I've already posted to YouTube. This is the older version of this Ceptor Tough Solar G-Shock watch. It has all kinds of great functions. This one has a time memo feature, whereas the new version has a regular countdown timer. So you've got your, let's see, your second time zone display that you can get there. You've got, well, that's for the time memo function. Then you have the hourly chime. You actually have 4 alarms on this, plus a 5th alarm that will actually give you a snooze alarm feature when that one goes off. So good alarms, stopwatch, and there you go. This one, now as I'm making this video, I think I've had this one for almost 12 years. I'm trying to remember if it was 2006 or 2007 to go back and check my other video. But anyway, this one has been running flawlessly, no repairs. I haven't had to change the battery. I only set the time when I'm playing around with it. Otherwise, it keeps time perfectly. It charges itself, and it's been running great. It's standing up really well with this metal watch band. I've scratched it up just a little bit and scuffed it up over 12 years of use. But it's a great watch, and you can still get, again, the newer version of this one. I saw 3 of them at the local Walmart store just yesterday for like $95 each. This one, I got it on sale back in the day. It was a $99 watch, and I got it on a Father's Day special for like $25 off. I've been very pleased with this watch. It's kind of big and kind of heavy compared to the other watches, but it's a great watch. I enjoy wearing it. And again, there's a much lengthier review online already. The next watch I bought was this one, and I finally decided to try a little bit more analog action. So here you go, Ceptor watch from Casio. It has down here a nice display which shows you some of the other functions, like, well, let's see. There you can have another time zone that you can show. There's your hourly signal, and then let's see, it has 3 alarms. Yeah, 3 different alarms you can set. Stopwatch function as well. And this is where you can actually, if for any reason the hands have gone out of alignment from what they should be, this is where you can fine-tune the settings of these hands. So that's a very convenient feature. I've only had to do it once in about 4 years of owning this watch. Otherwise, the hands have kept their place just perfectly. And there you go. So the normal readout would give you, well, either this, the date and day of the week, or this is the seconds, so it should match that one. Okay, there you go. Or just a standard digital display of the current time, which will match up there. Now, if you were to go to adjust the time zone on this one, this is kind of fun. So let's see, hold this button down. Yeah, and that's showing you that it's using the United States atomic time transmitter. It's receiving from there, because this will receive from other ones in Asia and in Europe if you travel. So then I go, let's see, I'm trying to remember the sequence of buttons here. Okay, I can set it to 24-hour mode or 12-hour mode. And this, oh, wait a minute, wrong button. Let me do that again. Hold this down, let's see, hold it down. Push this guy. Oh, there you go. That's where I tell it which time zone I want it to display up here in the analog section, and also my main time here in the digital section. So right now, Denver. So I'm, Mountain time zone, even though I'm not in Denver. That's why that's the time zone it's showing. I could set it ahead, let's say Chicago time zone, and what it'll do then, if I take it out of the setting mode, watch this. This is fun. It zips around 1 hour. And the second hand catches up, and then it just runs like that. So you can set it to any time zone throughout the world. I think it's 29 official time zones, because there are some countries that have, they're a half hour different from the standard time zones around the world. So here's where I'm going to set it. Go ahead and set it back to my home time zone. But you know, there's LA, there's Alaska, Honolulu, and just kind of scroll all the way around the world to wherever you want to be. For fun, let's just go ahead and set this right now so it's going to show the local time in Paris. Okay, and so look at that, it goes both directions. So it's gonna, for this one, Paris compared to Chicago, if it needs to go more than 6 hours back, it'll actually just go forward until it reaches the right time. Same with if it needs to go more than 6 hours, well, forward, then it just runs backwards to the right time. But we'll watch this and see how it ends up showing the correct local time for Paris now. There you go. And let's see, I'll just set it quickly back to my regular time because showing Paris time is kind of throwing me off right now. So let's see, back to the Denver time zone, or the Mountain time zone where I am, and we're good to go. This has a power save mode so that that things will shut down if the watch is left in the dark or not being used for an extended period of time. And it also has you can disable the radio controlled function so it doesn't automatically receive the radio control signal if for some reason you don't want it to. So this is also solar powered. So Wave Ceptor, that's the radio control function, and solar powered. So it recharges its own battery and is pretty much a maintenance free watch. I like that it has this nice metal band. And I'm considering getting another one. They have them with a slightly different looking face. I think they're only available in Japan, but there are some places that sell through Amazon to the United States where you can get this with a slightly different style, same basic functions, but they're also solar and Wave Ceptor and all of that. And it can receive its radio control information from 6 different transmitters around the world depending on where you are. So I might get one of these with a white face, or maybe with Roman numerals around the edge, or just regular Arabic numerals around the edge. There's a lot of stuff. I really like this watch. I've scratched it, so I don't like that, but otherwise I've taken pretty good care of it, and it's been great. Finally, the 12th watch in my collection I'll show you right now very quickly. This is a little bit less fancy than the ones I've shown you just recently, but this is a Wave Ceptor watch, again from Casio. Simpler functions on this one. There's the date, and there's the year, normal standard time zone display, day of the week, and there's the little symbol that says that it has received its signal to set itself to the right time. Different mode, here you can have other time zones that you can display. That's London or Greenwich time right now. There's a countdown timer. The countdown timer is just minutes and seconds, so you get up to 1 hour of counting down. And I like that it still shows you the local time up here while it's doing these other functions. There's your stopwatch, and there's your alarm, and back to normal. And one thing that my other watches don't have that I like on this one, well, actually one of them has this function, but I like this. That right there is a little mute for the beeping. So let's see, if I push this mode button here and hold it down, then the mute goes off, and now whenever I press these buttons, I get that little beep. So most of the watches I have, you can't disable that beep. It's just always going to beep every time you push a button, which is kind of, if you're trying to discreetly change your watch mode, you're in the middle of a meeting or something like that, you don't want that beeping there. So it's just kind of nice that if you just hold this button down, there you get that mute, and now you can do all those functions more quietly. So there you go, 12 watches. You can get batteries, so they all still work. I guess if one of them broke, I'd probably just throw it away, but since they all work, I still use them. The ones that are not atomic, I still manually synchronize them and try and keep them all set to the right time. Then I got the ones that are atomic. So 6 atomic or radio controlled, 6 are not. I might just get another atomic watch just to break the tie, because you can get a version of this one online now. It's like $26 with a metal band. So hey, that would give me a little bit of a variety and still be something that's a little different from all the other ones I have. And I guess that's the real trick. They're all just a little bit different. So if they didn't make so many varieties, I wouldn't need to have so many varieties. And if they didn't have like, literally, like you go down to Walmart, they have 50 unique Casio watches right there at the same time in the store. I can't get all 50 of them, but you know, I'm trying. So anyway, share your watch collection online. That would be fun. I'll see you later.